Hello guys, greetings from Placements Key. I'm Pradyumna, one of the co-founders of Placements Key. I welcome you all to the lecture series on the TCS previous year questions. Okay, so I'll be covering questions from October 23rd slot 1, right? Yeah, so first I'll be dealing with the quantitative ability questions. Okay, yeah, so this is as told earlier, these are the exact questions asked in TCS NQT 23rd October slot 1, and these are memory based. Yeah. Yeah, a man has to travel 50 kilometers in 2 hours. A man has to travel 50 kilometers in 2 hours. Okay. Now he could cover only 20 kilometers in the first hour. Yeah, in the first hour he could cover 20 kilometers. So 1 hour is elapsed and he has already covered 20 kilometers. Yeah, so how many kilometers are yet to be covered now? We know that he has to cover 30 kilometers and the time duration is 1 hour. Yeah. Let me repeat, he has to travel 50 kilometers in 2 hours. Okay, this is the overall distance and the overall time, and he's already covered this 20 kilometers in the first hour. Okay, now the remaining distance is 30 kilometers. The remaining time is supposed to be 1 hour. Yes. Now what happened again? He had to stop for 10 minutes after refueling. For refueling. Yeah. So effectively he's not having 1 hour. Now he only has like what? 1 hour minus 10 minutes. So he only has 50 minutes. Yeah, 50 minutes, or if you want to convert this into hours, what is it? It's equivalent of what? 50 by 60 hours. Yes, so he has so much distance to be covered and the time is so much. Now by what factor should he increase his speed? With reference to the speed during the first hour, so as to be able to complete the journey as per the schedule. Okay, let me simplify it for you. Okay, so what they are saying is, now tell me, what is the speed at which he has to travel to cover so much distance in so much time? We know distance and we also know time. So what is the speed? Speed is equal to, right now, if he travels at 20 kilometers per hour, he can surely not be able to achieve his target. Yes. So what should be his speed now? Distance divided by time. Time is 50 by 60. So 50 upon 60. So effectively what do we get? We get it as 30 into 60, because whatever is there in the denominator like this, it comes up, divide by 50. So you get the answer in what? Kilometers per hour, because this is in kilometers and this is in hours. You get the speed in kilometers per hour. So what happens here? So 0 0 cancel, you get 5 ones, 5 12s. So the answer is what? 36 kilometers per hour. Okay, so to cover the first 20 kilometers, okay, he takes 1 hour. Now to cover the remaining 30 kilometers in 50 minutes, he has to travel at a speed of 36 kilometers per hour. Okay. Now what are we asked here? We are supposed to find the factor with which his initial speed has to be multiplied by. See, initially he's covered 20 kilometers in 1 hour. So what was his speed? His speed was 20 kilometers per hour. Okay. Now his speed is 36 kilometers per hour. Now tell me, what factor should we multiply with? It is 1.8, isn't it? 1.8 into 20 gives us 36, right? So what is the answer here? It is 1.8. Now the question is not at all difficult, it's very easy. Yes, he has covered 20 kilometers in 1 hour. So now he has 30 kilometers to be covered and he only has 50 minutes. Yeah, so we have found out the speed. He has to travel at 36 kilometers per hour. Initially he was traveling at 20 kilometers per hour. Now 36 kilometers per hour. So what is the factor? So if you multiply 20 with 1.8, you get 36. Okay, that factor is what we are supposed to find. Let's move on to the next question. If n is an integer such that this is a 6-digit number which is exactly divisible by 24. Okay, now let me write the 6-digit number 1 nn 352. We are told that it is exactly divisible by 24. Now let's get into divisibility rule for 24. Divisibility rule for 24. Now how should we split 24? Can we split 24 as 6 into 4? For a number to be divisible by 24, can I say that it should be divisible by 6 and 4? No, you can't say so. So let me take a very simple example, okay? So let me take the example of 12. Is 12 divisible by 6? Yes. Is 12 divisible by 4? Yes. But is 12 divisible by 24? No. Therefore, if a number is divisible by 6 and 4, we can't necessarily say that it is also divisible by 24. So this way of splitting is incorrect. Then how should we split it? It's not 6 into 4. Can we split it as 12 into 2? Still no. Okay. So I'm also giving the concept here. Whenever you are finding the divisibility rule for a composite number, we'll always have to split it as product of two co-prime numbers. Okay, what do you mean by co-prime? Co-prime, the two factors should not have anything in common. Okay, if you look at 6 and 4, they have 2 common. If you look at 12 and 2, they again have the factor 2 common. So this doesn't work. Rather, I can split 24 as 8 into 3. Yeah, think about it now. 8 and 3, if not 1, do they have anything else in common? No, they don't have anything else in common if not 1. Therefore, these two are co-prime numbers. Therefore, this is how we'll have to split. Okay, please remember this. It applies for any composite number. Okay, let me give you one more example. Let's take probably let me take 18. Okay, this is also a composite number. Yes. How shall we split it? Can we split it as 3 into 6? No, because they have 3 in common between them. Yeah, the factor 3 is common to both these numbers. Therefore, we'll have to write it as 2 into 9. See, 2 and 9, they are co-prime because they don't have anything else in common. Okay, that is how we'll have to split. Okay, let's get back to the question. So this number is divisible by 24. Therefore, we can say that this number has to be divisible by what? 8 as well as 3. Now, what is the divisibility rule for 8? The last 3 digits are to be divisible by 8. Yes, I hope everyone knows this. Divisibility rule for 2 is the last digit has to be divisible by 2. Divisibility rule for 4 is last 2 digits are to be divisible by 4. Divisibility rule for 8 is last 3 digits are to be divisible by 8. Yes, similarly if you go for all factors of 2, the same thing applies. For 16, since 16 is 2 power 4, so last 4 digits are to be divisible by 16, so on and so forth. Yes. Okay, so now what happens here? The last 3 digits are to be divisible by 8. Let's check it. These are the 352 are the last 3 digits. Is it divisible by 8? Let's check it. 8 ones, 8 4s 32. Again we have a 332, 8 4 32. Yes. So we know it for sure that it is already divisible by 8. So this is already satisfied. So now we can't guess the values of n with respect to this constraint. This is not helping us in any way, right? So now let's take the help of the divisibility rule for 3. What is the divisibility rule for 3? The sum of digits are to be divisible by 3. Now let's try to find the sum of digits. 1 plus n plus n plus 3 plus 5 plus 2. So 1 plus n plus n is 2n. So 2n plus 1 plus 3, 4, 4 plus 5, 9 plus 2, 11. So we get 2n plus 11. So this should be divisible by 3. Yes. Now let's take values. We know that n can take only integers between 0 to 9. Yes, because these are digits, right? N is a digit. It's an individual digit. So n can't be 11, n can't be 10, n can't be a 2-digit number. So all the possible values are what? N is equal to 0 to n is equal to 9. Yes. So let's see what happens if n is equal to 0. Okay, if n is equal to 0, what do we get? 2 into 0 is 0 plus 11. 11 is it divisible by 3? No. So 0 is not correct. Let's take 1. If you take 1, what do we get? 2 into 1 is 2. 2 plus 11, 13 is not divisible by 3. So 1 is also, the value of n as 1 is also not possible. Let's take n is equal to 2. 2 2 is 4. 4 plus 11, 15. Yes. 15 is a multiple of 3. Therefore, the value of 2 is possible. Let's take the value of 3. 3 2 6. 6 plus 11, 17. No, it's not possible. Similarly, 4. 4 2 is 8. 8 plus 11, 19. No. Let's take 5. 5 2 is 10 plus 11, 21. Yes, 21 is divisible. Similarly, see, logically we can guess since it's 2, 5, the next one has to be 8. Yeah, but still for your understanding, I'm writing it all. Yeah, 6 2 is 12. 12 plus 11, 23, no. 7, 7 2 is 14, 14 plus 7 25, no. 8 2 16 plus 7 27, yeah. So S, so as I told earlier, since the cycle is 3 here, after every 3 numbers of n, after every 3 numbers you are getting the sum to be divisible by 3, yes. So 8 also, since if you substitute 8, what do we get? 27, right? It is multiple of 3. Needless to say, 9 will not satisfy. You can also check it. 9 2 is 18 plus 7 29, no. So what are the values that you have here? 2, 3 and 8. Yeah, so what are the possible values of n? The possible values of n are 2, 5 and 8. Now we are supposed to find the sum of all the possible values of n. So what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find 2 plus 5 plus 8. 5 plus 2 7, 7 plus 8 15. So option A is the right answer. See, we are stopping with 9 because the value of n can't exceed 9. If it exceeds 9, it becomes 10. See, these are all, this is a digit, right? This is a digit. A digit can't be a 2-digit number, right? It's a single digit, right? Therefore, we are stopping there. See, in this question, we have learned multiple concepts. See, usually we don't limit our explanation with respect to this question alone, yeah. So I have also explained what is the divisibility rule for composite numbers. You'll always have to split it as product of two co-prime numbers, okay. And we've also seen the divisibility rule for the powers of 2, yes. And then we've also seen the divisibility rule for 8. I've seen multiple concepts involved in this question, yes. I hope this will be a quick revision to all what you already know. Let's move on to the next question. The diameter of a pizza is 30 centimeters. So pizza diameter. So immediately we understand that it's a circular pizza, right? So diameter is what? 2r. 2r is equal to 30 centimeters. So r is equal to 15 centimeters. Now, what is the area of the upper surface of a sector? You know, sector. What is the area of a sector formula? Area of a sector, because it's clearly given. Surface of a sector of pizza, right? The area of a sector of the pizza, what is it? It is theta by 360 into pi r square. Okay, this is, see, you understood, right? What a sector is. You know, if this is a circle, this is a part of a circle, you know, this is called a sector. Okay, as in this entire value, this is called a sector. Okay, so now how to find the area of a sector? We have a formula. What is it? If this is the angle subtended by sector at the center, then the formula is theta by 360 into pi r square. We are supposed to find this value. Okay, now we have r, but we don't know the value of theta. Yes, now let's see if we can get any other variable here whose arc length is 8 centimeters. So they've also given this length. This is arc, you know, right? A part of a circle is arc. Please don't confuse, this is arc, whereas let me draw a different figure here for your understanding. This is the sector. They've given the arc length. We already know the length of the arc formula. Length of arc is equal to theta by 360 into 2 pi r. This value is already given as 8 centimeters. See, geometry is mostly about formulae, okay? And you don't have many formulae. You only have a limited formulae, let's say probably like 30, 20, 30 formulae. If you know that, you can crack any question. Okay, so please don't, put this topic on hold. Please don't leave this topic, okay? Please definitely practice the formulae. Most of the questions are direct formula substitutions, okay? So theta by 360 into 2 pi r is 8. Now we are supposed to find this value. See, let's see how we can approach this, okay? See, think about it, how to get this value from this. See, we need theta by 360 into pi r square, but we have a 2 here. So what shall we do? We shall send 2 to the other side. So what happens now? If I send 2 to the other side, it becomes 8 by 2. Since it's multiplied, it becomes 8. So I'm removing that, okay? So we have theta by 360 into pi r is equal to 8 by 2, that is 4. It's fine. Now, but what do we need? We need theta by 360 into pi r square. So we need to multiply this with one more r, isn't it? Because till now we only have theta by 360 into pi r. So let's multiply this with r. So let's also multiply this. See, we can't change a value as such, right? So since we have multiplied this with LHS, we are also multiplying the RHS by R. So now on the LHS side, we have already got this theta by 360 into pi r square. Yeah, now this is the value that we are supposed to compute. So 8 by 2 into r, 4 into r value is 15. It's already given. Therefore, it is 60 centimeters square. So it is option B. Is it clear? The idea is very simple here. Okay, sector area we are supposed to find. The sector area is theta by 360 into pi r square. We are given the length of the arc. This is arc. A part of a circle is arc. You know, see how simple it is. I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to convert this into our required formula. We have theta by 360 into pi r, sorry, 2 pi r, right? This is the length of the arc formula. 2 pi r. This value is 4. Sorry, this value is 8 is what given. Yeah, in the question it's already given as 8. Now, first I am converting this into theta by 360 into pi r. I am first removing 2. Okay, so if I remove 2, what happens? This 2, since it's multiplied, if it comes here, it gets divided. Now we have got theta by 360 into pi r value. But we want theta by 360 into pi r square. So what shall we do? We shall multiply LHS by r and RHS also by r. So r into, here also r into. Now we have got the desired value. This is the area of sector. And this is the value that we are supposed to find. 8 by 2, 4 into r value is 15. We have already found out. 4 into 15, the answer is directly 60. See how simple it is to convert or customize the given formula into the formula that we wanted. Yeah, I hope this is clear for everyone. And also I have also touched upon the idea of not really leaving a topic completely. Okay, know the basics, right? Yeah, I hope this question is clear. Let's move on to the next one. Now, what is mean proportional between mean proportionals of something? Now, what is mean proportional at all? What is mean proportional of A and B? What is it? What do you mean by mean proportional? It's just nothing but geometric mean. So geometric mean of A and B, I hope you guys already know this, is square root of AB. Okay, mean proportional also means geometric mean. The value is what? Square root of A into B. Now let's easily first see what are we supposed to find. We are supposed to find mean proportional of what? Mean proportional between mean proportionals of. So we are supposed to find mean proportional of 2 by 7 and 32 by 343 and mean proportional of 2 and 1 by 5000. Please don't worry, I'll explain what I'm trying to say. See, what they are saying is first find the mean proportional of these two, next find mean proportional of these two, finally find mean proportional of these two. Okay, so first let's find mean proportion of these two. Okay, what is it? Mean proportion of 2 by 7 and 32 by 343. I already told you mean proportion is square root of AB. So square root of A value is 2 by 7 into B value is 32 by 343. Now, so how shall we do it? 2 into 32 is 64. So square root of 64 is 8 divided by, we have a 7 here and we have a 343 here. 343 value is 7 cube. So 7 cube into 7 is 7 power 4. And if you take a square root of 7 power 4, you get 7 square, that is 49. Let me repeat. See, please don't waste time computing this. Okay, 2 into 32 is 64. Square root of 64, 8. 7 into 343, 7 cube. 7 into 7 cube is 7 power 4. Square root of 7 power 4 is 7 square, which is 49. Now we have found out the mean proportion of these two. Let's find mean proportion of these two. What is it? It is again 2 into 1 by 5000. This is very simple. What is 2 into 1 by 5000? It is 1 by 2500. Square root of 1 by 2500 is what? 1 by 50. So we get 1 by 50. Got it. Now we have got mean proportion of this. Now we have also got mean proportion of this. Now we'll have to find mean proportion of these two. What is it? It is square root of AB again. So square root of A into B. Square root of 8 by 49 into 1 by 50. So what do we get? let me write it again here. 8 by 49 into 1 by 50. So 2 4s 8, 2 25s. That's it. Now the question is solved. Please don't multiply 49 and 25. Yeah. So square root of, in the numerator you have 4. So square root of 4 is 2 divided by, in the denominator you have 49 into 25. 49 square root is 7. 25 square root is 5. 7 into 5, 35. So the answer is 2 by 35 for this question. 2 by 35, option C. Is it clear? See, when you look at the question the very first time, it may appear to be kind of difficult, but it's not. Okay. First find mean proportion of this. Next find mean proportion of this. Next find mean proportion of the values that you've got earlier. And this is as simple as that. I hope this question is clear. All what you're supposed to know is mean proportional is geometric mean. Geometric mean is square root of AB. That's what we are supposed to know. Fine. So I hope this is clear. Let's move on to the next question. Again, yeah, x plus 10% of 240 is 60% more than x. Okay. Yeah, you've got a big line, yeah, to be simplified. Okay. X plus 10%. So x plus 10% percent is by 100 of 240 is, that is equal to 60% more than this value. So just think about it. What is 60% more than, 60% more than some value? 60% more than, let's say, y is what? It is 160% of y, isn't it? We already have 100% of y. Okay, y is 100%, right? We already have 100% of y. Now we have 60% more than it. So it is 160% of the given value, right? I hope this idea is clear. Therefore, 60% more than this value is what? 160% of the value. I'm writing it here. 160% of the value. Value is what? X by 100 into 180. Okay. Now let's simplify this and find the value for x, because we have only one equation and one variable. You can simplify it. So this is very simple to simplify. Please don't worry. You have 100 cancel. Okay, that is done. Then 83 is 240, 82 is 160. See how I'm simplifying. I'm not writing it again, you know, like transposing everything to one side. I'm not doing all that. Yeah, directly denominator 100 cancel. Numerator we have 240, numerator 160 cancel. Yes. Similarly, we have a 2 here. Okay, we have a 2 here, 2 ones, or let me leave it as such here. Okay, we have a 2 here. Let me leave it. We have a 2. Okay, now we have a 3 here, right? Let me cancel this. 3 ones, 3 6 18 60, because this is also a numerator. So I've also cancelled that. Okay, so what do we have? Let me write it here. Here we only have x plus 10. X plus 10 is equal to, see, the entire 240 got cancelled. Now we only have a 2 here. 2 into, what do we have? 60x by 100. So we also cancel out a 0. So you get 6x by 10. Okay, you can still simplify it, right? 2 ones, 2 5s. So we have x plus 10 is equal to 6x by 5. So 6x by 5 minus x. X can be written as 5x by 5. It doesn't change, right, the value. So what happens now? X by 5 is 10, because 6x by 5 minus 5x by 5 is x by 5, that is 10. That implies the value of x is 50. Okay, we've got it. Now we'll also supposed to simplify something else. What is it? 15% of this is what percentage less than value? Okay, see, just think about it. X is what percentage less than y? How do you calculate this? X is what percentage less than y? It is y minus x divided by less than. After than we have y. So write y into 100. Okay, x is what percentage less than y? What do we do? First take the difference by than. After than we have y. So y is the base. Y minus x by y into 100. So here this is the value of x. Okay, capital X. Let me take it as capital X, and this is the value of capital Y. Right? In terms of how we wrote it. Yeah, x is what percentage less than y? X is what percentage less than y? So what should we do? We should do y minus x. Yeah, so first let's figure out the values. Okay, what is the value of this? 15% of x plus 20. Let me write it. 15% of x. X is already 50. 50 plus 20 is 70. So this is the value of x. Okay, so what do we get here? 0 0 cancel, 5 2s 10, 5 3s, so you get 21 by 2, that is 10.5. okay, now what is this value? 25% of x, 25% of 50. Okay, 25% of 50, what is the value? 25% of 50. Okay, you know 25% is 1/4. 1/4 of a 50 is what? Half 50 is 25. Okay, so half of again 25 is 12.5. So this value is 12.5. Okay, so the equivalent of this, I hope you're clear. Capital X is what percentage less than capital Y. This is what we got. So X value we've got 10.5. This entire value is 10.5. This is 12.5. So now what should we do? It's just doing this. Y minus X by Y. So Y minus X, 12.5 minus 10.5 is 2.5 divided by than Y. So Y is the base. 12.5 into 100. So what is it now that we get? I'm sorry, 12.5 minus 10.5 is 2, not 2.5, right? I'm sorry, it's 2. So 2 by 12.5, you know 12.5 ones, 12.5 because 12.5 into 2 gives 25, 25 fours 100, so 2 8s 16. So the answer for this question is option A. I hope this is clear for everyone. Please don't worry, it involves simplifications, yes, but these are all simple. Please make sure that you pay so much of attention while computing this, because you do one calculation mistake, the entire question may go wrong. Okay, so please don't like waste time solving it again. While doing it the first time, please make sure that you put lot of efforts, okay, with lot of concentration. Yes, so very simple. Let me repeat one final time as to what we've done. X plus 10% of 240, x plus 10 by 100 into 240 is 60% more than. I've also given that 60% more than a value is what? 160% of the value. 160% of the value. Now we have done the cross multiplication. We've got x plus 10 is so much, and you get x value as 50. Now x is what percentage less than y? So first we have computed this value. 15% of x plus 20. 15% of 50 plus 20 is 70. So we've got the value as 10.5. So this is 10.5. This is this value, we've got it as 10.5. And 25% of 50, we know clearly it is directly 12.5. So 10.5 is what percentage less than 12.5 is the question. So it is what? It is less by 2 units. So 2 divided by than. After than, whatever is there, that is usually the base. So 2 by y value 12.5 into 100 gives us the value, the required percentage, which is 16. Yeah, so I'm stopping this lecture series here. You have solved 5 questions here. Let me continue the remaining questions in the next lecture series. Thank you everyone.